joined with Beth coming at you for yet another one of these audio reviews. Once again, courtesy of
Wilson.
Yeah, we'll just say
Just say
Wilson.
Wilson.
Once again, I don't know how to say it. I guess I can simply say sharing another title with us that I'd seen this cover. It came out on home video VHS, Republic Pictures home video. I'd seen this VHS cover in the video stores for the title of the movie by the name of
Playroom.
And the cover's kind of cool, and Beth probably hasn't seen the cover, so she's just got to take my word for it. But incidentally, or just for fun, this movie, in the opening credits, the quote-unquote story is by Jackie Earle Haley, of course, who would go on to be an actor. That was kind of funny when I saw that. But before I forget, this movie also stars this one kind of kid who was in a lot of movies at this time, Amityville 4, then he'd go on to be in Puppet Master 3, and it seemed like the early 90s his face was everywhere in these kind of movies. I think he was in a lot of more stuff probably that I've seen as well, but anyway, I just wanted to just lay those factoids down. Honestly, before we even get started, I really had fun with this, and it reminded me of renting movies back in the 90s, and I probably would have, I love it now. I think it was really fun, and I would have loved this. Watching this, I was kind of sad that I didn't see it, when it came out, and didn't grow up with it, but that's okay. I got to see it now, and I had fun with this. What are Beth's thoughts?
It was something I'd watch as a kid. Well, maybe not a kid, but teenager.
I think this came out in home video in 1990, just so you know.
I would have watched it about that time had I known about it. My kind of cup of tea.
Oh, I could have totally seen having fun with this with my horror liking buddies at the time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do we want to share what it's about?
Well, you're not sure if it's a flashback or if it's a dream.
At the
like
beginning.
Like the main character, I don't know, is Chris, I guess, is the name in the...
And not only the actor, but his character's name, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Actor and name. It kind of starts with this flashback scene that kind of looks like a nightmare. And he works for this archaeologist magazine, and, I don't know, he finds... In this flashback, he finds his dad's journal, and in the flashback you see, like, thread by his dead dad's hand. His family was slaughtered. What a nightmare. He's in his room.
As a kid.
Did
you say he was a kid in this flashback?
Yeah, kid in the flashback.
In this castle.
In this huge castle. Like, oh, what a fun place to vacation. But if his parents were archaeologists, it kind of makes sense that they would find a safe place for the archaeological digs to put the kids while the parents did all the research. But he wakes up from, I don't know, some kind of a nightmare or dream as a kid and walks around trying to find his family. He sees his sister lying in bed holding a teddy bear, and he thinks she's like sleeping.
They do this really cool reveal where her face is like shadowed, and then he's got this lantern, and he kind of moves the lantern, and it does this really cool reveal, which lights up her eyes, which are just staring dead eyes, and yeah, it was a really cool reveal.
Some blood from her mouth, maybe, and he ends up dropping this lantern, and the kerosene burns anything burnable in the room, and that's kind of important to remember. So he's running away from this burning
like
room.
Her bed and just catches on fire and burns.
Bedding and toys that are on the bed. So I don't know if it's little sister. Probably is little sister. And you got the drawings on the wall of the mom, dad, brother, sister. So it's kind of shadowed by the flame. So that's kind of sad. Then he runs and sees his dad dead on the table, and he sees, we don't know if it's his mom or a female.
I'm assuming it's mom dead. He finds mom dead as well
in the hallway.
So it's just quite the harrowing experience for a child.
Then he wakes up, and we're like, oh, Wow.
This
Okay.
must be the adult version of the kid. And
Yeah.
at this time, we don't know if it's
Flashback
a
or
memory or just a random dream.
right. So he's working for this archaeologist magazine, and he's like, I gotta. Well, he finds the map in his dad's journal because you remember he
It
kind of
was
thought back to the dream and remembered the thread. So
so.
he's looking in the journal and he finds
It's like one of the front or back covers.
Yeah.
This map is sewn into one of the front and back covers, if I'm
one.
understanding.
I think it was the back cover. So he clips off the string and he finds this map. Oh, this must be this tomb that his parents were looking for. And he goes to the, I guess, chief editor or some chick who's got some kind of power and says, we gotta go to this place. I can fulfill my dad's mission and find this tomb and we'll be rich. So 4 people end up going. His photographer friend, the girl from the magazine, and I guess photographer's girlfriend go to this castle where the dream was. And then we figured out it's really his past.
Yeah, as the movie wears on, we realize that, oh, this is, because he has another one of them nightmares, and we're kind of starting to realize that, oh, must be a memory. So it's not a random dream, it's a memory of his childhood living in this area at the time and discovering his whole family butchered.
And, the newspaper clippings that his family was murdered by probably the photographer of the dig. And I guess we find out later that he was framed, but by who, that comes in later.
Oh yeah, Vincent Schiavelli plays this. I think that's the guy you just referenced, the guy who got framed
Yeah.
from Ghost. I think his biggest claim to fame, is probably this role in Ghost or whatever.
He was the angry spirit in Ghost that taught Patrick Swayze how to use the penny.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone can
But
figure out that reference, good, happy days.
yeah, honestly, I never found this boring, even though, like, you don't even find, like, the quote-unquote playroom doesn't even come into play, I think, until, like, an hour into it. But I found just the whole trip, all the journey all the way up, I thought the whole thing was fun.
Well, what's really kind of interesting is when Chris,
Oh,
adult
that's right.
Chris,
That's right.
just comes into the castle, he kind of, his attitude changes.
He starts having dreams about that kid who, like I say, was in a lot of movies. Is that correct? He starts having dreams with that kid.
Yep, exactly.
And this kid, I'm sorry, but is this kid like the little king kid or whatever?
He thinks it's an imaginary friend.
But it's actually a
spirit.
a spiritual presence of this king kid from who knows how many eons past.
Thousands of years.
Thousands of years
hundreds
past.
at least.
Hundreds at least. And what was I going to say? So as you were saying, the longer this adult Chris is here, the more he becomes possessed by this spirit, which he thought was an imaginary friend he created to keep him company at this lonely
castle
while his parents
did this dig.
What a great story.
It was a fun little thing. But then we turn, and the longer Chris is in the he, like the first, well, I guess evening, his girlfriend has fun with him. And he's
that's
blushing
right.
like a 12-year-old, like, oh, what are you doing? I mean,
Yeah,
it's cool,
his girlfriend was riding on him good, and she said just this line that I didn't really think twice of.
You've never blushed
You've
before.
never blushed when I've been riding on you good, and it was a line that I didn't really pay much attention to, but Beth later on said, oh, because she found out later on that he was starting to act like a kid with a cereal or bowl of oatmeal or whatever, and it's like, oh, Beth's like, oh, that's why he was blushing. When he was getting screwed.
Yeah. I mean, talk about, what's that called?
Statutory.
Statutory.
I was going to say incest.
That incest.
Yeah, that was technically
like
spiritual statutory rape.
Yeah. So.
Because at that moment, he was 10, and
His mind was, his body was an adult, but his mind was very
oh,
childlike.
there's also this drawing that plays a part in the
Oh,
film
yeah.
first half. We don't really know what it is, but it turns out the drawing is of the imaginary friend.
Right, because they zoom in at in the beginning of the movie, like during the dream, and then adult Chris goes into where the sleeping quarters were, and he finds the picture. So that was a cool connection from past into
Oh yeah,
present.
because he kept that drawing in his room, and it's still there when
Yeah.
he goes back as an adult.
Yeah, it's like the only picture left is on the floor. So maybe the Chris imaginary friend hid it and then put it back where. Oh, and so right after he picks up the picture, I'm thinking it's the photographer friend. We don't know what's going on. He's looking in his sister's room, and all of a sudden there's this jump scare
Oh
of
yeah.
someone laying on the bed, and the eyes open, and they jump out
His
and gets
face is
Chris,
all
and
black.
you're it, you're next, like he was burnt
And
or
at
something.
first, I thought it was the drunk photographer guy friend who came to take pictures.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, how fat? I don't think he even knows this area enough to play that prank.
Right, but it wasn't him. I just like how the movie reveals the plot points as it goes on.
Slowly, yeah.
It's just,
What year was this?
I think 1990.
90? Okay.
You know, God, I thought it was fun.
I mean, the kills were fun. Everyone
Yeah,
dies except the girl.
Honestly, I mean, by today's standards, I mean, they're like PG kills. I mean, you really saw pretty much nothing, but the implications of like that chair and stuff.
Oh yeah,
was
so they have this. I thought it was
stone-
like the throne,
It's like
and there's this cutout in the back.
yeah,
Well,
there's
the
the stone chair and there's this cutout in the.
Well, we got to rewind a little bit. So, Chris's playmate has him wear this necklace so he can never leave, and his girlfriend, the blonde, already left to get help, and they're like, "Oh, we need a bigger rat to play with," and it cuts to the redhead who was just fainting over her past.
At this point, she's sick
Moments.
of. Yeah,
She's
sick of
tired
being there
in
and
She wants to
sick
leave.
of being with their boyfriend or drunk deadbeat boyfriend. So
the
she's
photographer.
yeah, so she was kind of gonna leave anyway, and then Chris happens upon her and asks her to.
Play.
You want to play?
You wanna play? And she's thinking,
I can't-
okay. He's thinking play as in playroom, and she's thinking play as in
Sex.
sexual.
So because we got to remember from like I don't know, like halfway up until the end, this guy's a kid, 10
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah. So he brings, and it's all candlelit down these stairs, and very romantic. And then all of a sudden, the dead bodies of the skulls and the skeletons, and just you open up to the playroom, and it's a really cool reveal where you see all the torture tools. There's cages. There's
Yeah, 50 Shades of Grey don't
stocks.
have anything on this room.
No. So the blonde sees this stand-up torture thing where you put your hands in kind of a Y position over your head,
Oh yeah, and he kind of locks her hands in.
but her wrists are so tiny that she slips
them out and walks away towards another device, and then he like
pushes the lever, and the Y's go up like you ripped her arms out.
Oh, that was just
cool.
funny. Oh god,
Damn,
I
can't
love
play
this
with that
movie's
toy.
like sense of humor.
Yeah, very morbid humor. So then she sits in this chair with a stone chair with the back cut out, and it's perfectly like geometrical. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking it was the throne, and then I see the cuffs on the armrests, and I'm like, I don't think this was his throne. And here we'll do some play acting. So I'm the girl in the chair. Do you like what you see?
No, I like. Well, I don't think he says no, but he goes, "I like what I saw."
And then
Chick.
he activates the saw,
And
comes
this
out of
big
the wall.
saw, kind of circular saw comes, and it's like, oh my
And
god.
she can see through the chair to where the saw is. Like,
me
let
go."
me out, Chris, let me out. And she just,
Unfortunately, you don't get to see anything except
you
blood
see the blood
splatter on
splattering
the wall, but
and the kids.
I guess it's all about the mind's eye, so
And what's really funny is...
fill in the blanks.
Yeah, exactly. But then after the kill, the imaginary friend and the childlike adult Chris were like, "You clean it. No, you clean it." Like, I didn't make the mess. Well, it was your toy,
And
and
then
just like kids would do.
And then the
Imaginary
grabs
friend.
like some bone. He's like, here, whatever part breaks, they clean it. And it's just kind of funny.
Yeah, like a wishbone. Short half gets to
Clean it.
clean the mess, and Chris ends up cleaning it.
Oh boy, we
So
should
it's very childlike, but
quickly
very
mention
fun.
that the Vincent Schiavelli character, however the hell you say his name,
Oh, was in the nut
was
house.
in the nut house, and he gets visited by the local who brought them in the van there. For some reason, I don't know what the local's interest is. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
I think he thinks that
Oh, there's
they're
money.
going to take money out
There's
of money
or
involved.
there's something, worth money in there too.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get more money. So he brings the Vincent Schiavelli character breaks out of the nut house in a funny kind of just, snap the mop in half and whack a guard over the head with the
Tie his
handle.
hair back.
And he ends up making his way back there and kind of, because he wants to right the wrongs and kill the guy who had him framed, which
He
turns
wants
out
to
to
kill
be.
the kid.
Did we even mention? Yeah, we didn't even mention that. It turns out it was the kid possessed by the spirit at this castle, which made the kid kill his family
Right.
at the beginning.
I mean, all he wanted to do was. They thought it was playing.
Yeah, it was kind of they did some comparisons of like what kid. Every time he said this, Beth said I didn't, but he'd said what kid doesn't tear the wings off of flies, and Beth
Or
said
twist.
I didn't, and
or twist the head off of a grasshopper and all these gruesome things.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, not me. Not my
yeah.
childhood.
For the record, I didn't do that stuff either. I was always nice to animals.
That's true.
But
Except
yeah,
mosquitoes.
well, yeah, mosquitoes don't count as life. They're just freaking nuisance. But yeah. Oh, I don't want to forget to mention the really cool reveal at the end of because I think the girlfriend or whatever finds this tomb of where this corpse of this
Oh yeah.
king child is, and at that point we think that it's just a corpse, but then it kind of comes to life in this really cool animatronic face head thing and probably puppeteered body. So I guess we can assume that what's really cool is when Chris comes back to life, which I think the girlfriend,
The necklace helped.
yeah, we forgot to mention that
Yeah.
this necklace is a big kind of part of whatever, keeping them supernatural or possessed or whatever. So I think that this physical entity has been walking around doing physical things in this whole time. And
sorry.
whenever Chris sees that walking corpse, he sees the young,
The imaginary friend.
the non-dead version of the kid at the age of a kid. It's a lot to explain.
Like
but
a child king.
But there's this really cool ending where this animatronic puppeted thing is chasing the Chris's girlfriend around and saying things. Kind of reminds me of Chucky swearing and just saying funny lines. And
But so the second kill is this guy, the photographer. He goes into this pit of spikes, and he was like, "Well, that was kind of cool."
It's this guy's birthday, and there's this cool kill where he's hanging over the
ledge.
pit and holding on, and then the killer guy his face is all full of blood. The last half of this
And
movie, it's
super
fun.
childlike, and he puts
matches
in between his fingers, and he lights them.
You gotta have fun on your birthday.
Gotta have a fun birthday. So
It
he
burns.
lights, and he ends up letting go because his hands are gonna burn. Die anyway. But anyway, so the girlfriend of the childlike Chris falls into the same pit, and he's like, "Oh," and he looks over to see the Child King animatronic puppet looks over to see the demise, and finds out that shit, she landed on the other body, so she really didn't get pierced.
She landed on the corpse that's already pierced by the spikes. So if someone
it
lands on
cushioned her
that
fall.
corpse,
So
you're
then,
okay in the movie anyway.
so then he pours kerosene all over her body, which I don't think Nick caught.
I knew that, but then later on, you can say
And
it.
then he throws a candle down to burn them both up, but there was like this hole in the back. Maybe it
In the
was to
bottom.
clean out the bodies, whatever. But she escapes through this hole and goes into this catacomb area, and she finds a stick to wrap her coat around, and all of a sudden, she lights a match, and lights the part of the jacket on like for a torch, and Nate's like, yeah, right, like you
Yeah,
really light up like
I'm
that.
like, yeah, the freaking coat just lights up
Yeah,
like she poured fluid on it, and then Beth said,
the king did.
I was like, oh shit, that's right.
He's
So
trying to call a blooper, and it really
Beth was
wasn't.
like, yeah, she had to correct me. I was trying to, tear the movie a new one, and the movie tore me a new one, and actually good continuity for a horror movie. Like, wow,
Yeah, most people don't think about
the
that.
character remembered that she was doused with kerosene, and I'm going to take off the jacket and use it as a torch.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot we could talk about with this movie, but I have to give it 4 stars.
Oh,
I don't think I could do anything less. It brought me back to childhood. I was actually
oh.
sad
And then,
because Go ahead.
no, please.
Well, okay, so at the end, the crazy guy ends up shooting off. Well, how many? Can I shoot off a guy's head with 3 bullets? Was his whole thing?
I think he used to be able to.
Oh, okay.
He has before.
Shut up.
Vincent Schiavelli character, yeah. I can shoot
the ghost character.
I can shoot someone's head off with 3 bullets, probably left, right, and middle, I would imagine.
And so he ends up shooting off childlike Chris's head with 5 bullets.
He's like, I'm getting rusty.
Yeah, and dies. And then
This is
it
just
flashes into the castle, and you see the animatronic. Chris, you said you'd never leave me.
Beth was all sad about the evil mummified.
But he's all alone now. He doesn't have any playmates.
Beth is all feeling sorry for the evil killer in this movie.
That's just the way he played as a kid. I mean, you're royalty. You have nothing else better to do but kill peasants. And I don't know, kind of an interesting childhood.
I gotta tell you, this was great, and it just it would have been really cool to have grown up with this, but that's okay. I'll grow old with it, I guess. But it just reminded me of just being a teenager, and that this came out when we were teenagers, and watching it just kind of brought us back to.
Yeah, and the animatronics of this Child King is just amazing. He's got the old man face, but the childlike eyes. It's a really good puppeteer / animatronics deal.
Oh,
And he's pretty mobile.
Beth's watching the replay right now, but yeah, I don't think I said my storage. I was thoroughly impressed with this, and like I say, a lot of times for me, the lead up until whatever is that can be boring or not as interesting, but for me the whole thing was
The
like
character
interesting
build.
because the way it starts with the flashback, not knowing if it's a flashback or a random nightmare, it kept you interested, and the whole journey for me was constantly interesting. So 4 stars out of 4 stars for me, and Beth I hear as well.
Yeah, 4 stars.
Just a really fun example of how fun movies could be back in the day. And I think this was probably straight to video, which is unbelievable. I mean, think of a straight to video movie from 1990 just being infinitely better than anything in
We've
so many
seen on the
things
screen,
in the theater today. It's just
And
a
it just goes to
testament
prove that a little bit of imagination can go a long way with these PG-13 movies.
This is probably rated R.
Was it rated R? Oh yeah, there's
There's
a couple of scenes in there with boobies.
breasts
There's
and
boobies.
swear words, and blood, but yeah.
I didn't remember any swear words.
Well, this animatronic thing's swearing up a storm when he's like "fuck" or whatever. I only saw it once. I can't remember.
And he's wearing the probably ancient clothing, probably mummified clothing, and it's just wow.
And all the candles, like in the kind of the last whatever third of the movie, just that adorn the catacombs and stuff are really fun. Beth's just watching the playback right
See,
now.
Here's the part that Nate must have missed.
They can't. I didn't miss it, but. But
pouring the kerosene. They show it very clearly pouring kerosene on the jacket.
But I didn't put 2 and 2 together. She's just staring at the playback as Puppet grabs a candle. Okay.
But this necklace must be kind of magical because the adult Chris fell down some stairs and was clearly dead. And then the Child King is like, "Get up, asshole, they're getting away." and all of a sudden Chris is alive and in play mode again.
Yeah, what's so funny is, maybe a third into this movie when he gets into child mode, he puts on this zip-up hoodie, and I think that's kind of supposed to visually indicate, I don't know.
That he's a child
Yeah,
again.
it's kind of like for the purposes of this movie, a childish a piece of attire, I guess, clothing. But very, very, very cool, and thank you very much, Wilson.
Thanks, Wilson.
This was a riot.
Very Demonic Toys meets Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh, okay, that is deserved.
All right. Have we said our piece on?
I think so.
On this, look at
if
how.
anyone
look
can
at how,
find this movie, watch it.
I'm gonna see if it's on Blu-ray. Honestly, I don't know if it's on Blu-ray or
It'd
not,
be
but
a good
it better be.
good movie for a collection of horror lovers. I mean, it's not really horror,
It is.
but no,
Why would you say it's not horror?
I don't. I mean, horror has more gore, but it's very. It's
Oh, and
good.
you can even see as she's ripping the jacket the damp spots. So I was just being dumb.
Didn't quite put two and two together.
I didn't put two and two together.
And I think it's amazing how they always have matches on them.
Yep.
Seriously. But I liked it. I think this is well worth a watch. I hope we didn't spoil it too much, because even saying this stuff,
I don't know. I might put spoiler on the title.
you might have to.
Yeah, because we did spoil it.
Yeah. But even our description doesn't even light a candle next to it.
It's funny how the killer's face is covered with blood like the whole last 30 minutes of the movie. And when her girlfriend comes across him, towards the end of the movie, and his face is all bloody, it's like she doesn't even seem to notice.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
Well, she just thinks he's a victim.
Yeah, I suppose. Look, wow, listen to Beth keeps coming to its... But it's true. I mean, you can't refute that claim.
You really can't.
If he's, been privy to bloody mayhem
exactly.
that he didn't cause, and he might have blood on his face.
Maybe he was witness to it and tried to save it, and that's their blood on his face. Like, oh, you know how you put your face, in your hands when you're crying, and you got blood on your hands, and now you got blood on your face.
Yeah, that happens to me every day.
I don't know how to respond to that one.
Maybe with this was a very fun one. Thanks again. This was
fun. Thanks, Wilson.
Wilson, have we said our piece?
I think I have. 4 stars.
That's a double 4 here.
Thank you again, and hope you guys who listen to this enjoy the review, and maybe give this movie a watch.
Yeah, I'd say if you can find it, it's definitely worth a watch. Definitely brings you back to them glory years of straight-to-video 90s movies.
Make friends with Wade, and he might send you a copy.
Yeah, you never know. Oh, you said Wade. You mean Wilson?
Oh, Wade Wilson. That's the first name I remembered him as.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, all right. Thanks, kids.
Thanks for listening.